Yeah. It's for my people in the struggle, man. Getting up early every day, going to work, going to school. Doing what you gotta do to get by, you know. This for my brothers out there getting their grind on. Having dreams of one day getting their shine on. You surrounded by the worst conditions, yet you persevere and gotta work to get it.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Street Therapy. I'm Tyra Jackson, your host, and today's special guest is Lamonte Faison. He's the author of a book called Unveiling the Mask of the Pretender, True Confessions of a Man. Well, hello, Lamonte. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I'm really glad that you can make it again.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Actually, you're a returning guest because I wanted you to come on and talk a little bit more about your book.
Sure, not a problem. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So could you tell the guests a little bit about yourself, or I should say our viewers a little bit?
Well, I'm the author of Unveiling the Mask of the Pretender. My whole mentality is about transformation, and that was my goal when I wrote the book, Unveiling the Mask of the Pretender, so hopefully we can get into the details today.
Okay. Yeah, because when I read this book, I couldn't even put it down.
That's
I
great.
really couldn't. And there was a lot of things in here that I wanted to talk to you about, because with so many relationships today, a lot of women are getting hurt. And there's so much blame being put on the woman when we're not giving the opportunity to choose, you know, if we're not being told the truth.
Right.
So with my first question is, where are the good men?
Look, I don't know that, but I do know there is a certain man that's running around working on himself. You know, there are men out here that are working on themselves and trying to get themselves together. And I think that's important. You know, I don't have an exact number on who that is, but I know that there are men out here working on themselves and understand that transformation is mandatory these days.
Now, when you say there are men out here working on themselves, are they working on themselves and pretending in relationships?
Well, when I use the word working on themselves, I mean real men are working on themselves. I remember myself being a pretender at one time, and at some point, I had the desire to change. And so there are men out there who actually want to change. They actually want to change their behavior. They actually understand that the things that they've been doing is not working for them, that it's not morally correct. And so you absolutely have men out there that's like that.
Okay. So in your book, why confess now?
I don't know if it's about why confess now. I think at some point, everybody has a day where they will have to look in the mirror and say, do I like who I am? And I think when I looked in the mirror, I did not like who I was. And so I wanted to do something about that. And that was about transforming my life. You know, that was about saying, I don't like this person and I'm going to do something about it. And so I put away the excuses and I went for it. And, you know, sometimes it's painful though. It is, it's painful because you conduct yourself a certain way for so long that sometimes it's hard to break away from those old habits and the pain that goes along with it. You know, I know women, you know, they complain a lot about men cheating. And I will say this to women, not that it's any consolation to them, but most men, the average man, is trying to fill some type of void. And I know that sometimes women take it personal, but it's really not the woman. It's that individual dealing with himself, within himself. You know, and I think it's extremely important for women to actually understand that it's not about them. It's not about what you're doing wrong or what you're doing right. You know, if a person comes to the table and they show up with their representative mean I'm putting my best foot forward so you can see this person, but that's not who I really am, then it makes it difficult for you to make an informative decision on who you're going to pick, you know, or who you're going to choose to spend your time with. And so I think in my spare time, I spend a lot of time talking to men about that very thing and being truthful, at least being honest with oneself.
Okay. Well, based on the conversations that I had in reading your book and people who might be tuning in and watching you right now, is there anything that you want people to really understand that's probably been misconstrued about you in the past that you would like to get clear?
I would say that everyone, whether male or female, has a past. If we want people to do better, we have to be a little bit more patient as far as listening to what the individual's been through and what they're going through at the time. If we say we want the world to be better, well, it starts with oneself. And if it starts with oneself, then that means you might see the ugly before you see the good. So it's easy to look at folks on the outside and say, oh, look at that person, he or she is doing that. But if you want them to get better, that's usually what you're going to see first. That's the ugly before it gets better. And you have to be patient with those individuals. You know, every one of us has issues.
Yes.
Every one of us.
Well, you know, from my experience, you know, I've been in a lot of relationships, and one thing that I find that's really hard that, you know, a lot of men do not, you know, they're afraid to be upfront right away. I don't know if it's for fear that we won't accept them, or, you know, maybe they're, whatever insecurities that they are hiding. I haven't really yet met one that can be just with one, consistent in a relationship with one woman. Is it fair to say that all men cheat?
No, I wouldn't say that. And first of all, I don't know all men, so I won't go on the record and say all men cheat. I will say that a lot of us exhibit similar behaviors. A lot of us exhibit similar behaviors. It seems like we're never satisfied. That it doesn't matter how pretty your wife is, we still find a way to go outside of that relationship. But once again, I go back to the fact that we're trying to fill a void. And if I look at my personal life, my wife was beautiful, but I was always looking for something else. But it had nothing to do with that other woman. It was always, I was missing something from within, and I was always looking for it. And I was looking for love in all the wrong places. So I would jump from woman to woman to woman looking for something.
So when you say you were looking for love, why not love your wife?
Yeah.
Because that's what, you know, your wife is there. You married her. So why not, you know, because a lot of women, when we get in relationships, you know, we love from the heart. And we love you. We're there and we're being supportive and we're being encouraging, but we're not totally getting that back.
Right.
So when you say looking for love in all the wrong places, why not choose the one that you marry to love?
Well, once again, I'll go back. Whatever's going on within that individual, that's what the void that that's what the void they're going to try to fill. And that's what's happening. I remember very specifically going out and doing something that I knew was wrong. But it was something within me saying, I'm going out, I'm going to do this, I don't care. And what I realized is that I wasn't even committed to commitment. And if you're not committed to yourself, I'm definitely not going to be committed to the one I married.
Okay, because I was also reading in your book that in one of your chapters you picked out insecure women. And I really wanted to touch on that subject because a lot of women don't understand that they really have to love themselves enough to be true to themselves, that they don't hang on the clearance rack.
Right.
You know, because when you hang on the clearance rack, you're going to get someone looking for a bargain.
Absolutely.
So it's really important that you value yourself to where when you see certain signs that this man is not treating you a certain way or he's not respecting you, there's certain signs that must show that you must take, you know, be accountable and responsible for your own actions and say no to some of this behavior. A lot of women are rewarding, you know, bad behavior.
Absolutely.
So can you tell me, in your own words, what do you look for when you were looking? I wouldn't say that you're looking for that now, but what did you look for how could you tell an insecure woman?
Well, you know what's interesting, in I believe the first chapter of my book, I said I preyed on the vulnerability. Their vulnerability was my field of choice. Typically, women actually talk too much. It's the truth.
That is true.
They give us a lot of information. So, you know, here's a scenario. I remember